All right, let's dive right into today's explainer, where we're going to map out exactly how to completely upgrade your biological hardware and software. We're talking about shifting your body's baseline programming to optimize for boundless energy, rapid muscle growth, and incredibly fast recovery. If you've ever felt like your metabolism is just actively fighting against you, well, this is the blueprint you've been waiting for.
Before we even look at specific compounds or protocols, we have to ask a foundational question about human evolution. Why do so many of us struggle with stubborn fat, persistent fatigue, and sluggish recovery? Well, what if your body isn't actually broken? What if, from a purely evolutionary standpoint, it's just stuck in a constant protective state called winter mode? Here's our roadmap for flipping that exact switch. Number 1. Winter versus summer mode. 2. Hacking leptin and myostatin. 3. Peptides for muscle growth. 4. Revving up lazy mitochondria. And 5. The ultimate repair crew. Part 1. Winter versus summer mode. The foundation.
We really have to start by redefining how the body allocates every single calorie you consume. It's not just about how much you eat, it's about where your body decides to put that energy. Think about our ancient ancestors, right? For them, winter meant scarcity. The body had to prioritize storing excess calories as fat, literally just to survive the freezing months. But summer meant abundance. The body used energy to build lean muscle, increase performance, and dominate the landscape. And the primary signal for that seasonal shift was the sun, specifically vitamin D.
Get this though, modern data shows a staggering 63% of athletes in high-latitude areas have deficient vitamin D levels during the winter. Without that intense, high summer signal, your engine just stays completely locked in that sluggish, fat-storing survival state year-round.
Moving on to Part 2. Hacking leptin and myostatin, the master switch.
So, how do we manually flip the switch to summer mode, no matter what time of year it is or how much time you spend inside at a desk? This brings us to high-dose calcifediol, which is a highly bioavailable form of vitamin D, paired with vitamin K2. By introducing this high-dose dietary vitamin D, you effectively mimic the summer sun in your bloodstream. It sends a massive systemic signal to your brain that it's safe to burn fuel for growth and repair instead of hoarding it as fat for a coming winter famine. And the vitamin K2? It's there like a traffic cop, ensuring calcium gets transported safely to your bones and not into your arteries.
The overarching concept here is known as energy balance sensing. High-dose vitamin D actually turns down myostatin, which is essentially the body's natural brake pedal on muscle growth. At the exact same time, it enhances leptin, which is the brake pedal on fat storage. So by easing off the myostatin brake and slamming on the leptin gas pedal, vitamin D actively reroutes your surplus calories away from fat cells and pushes them straight into your muscle tissue.
Part 3. Peptides for muscle growth. The accelerators.
Okay, once we've established that high-dose vitamin D baseline and thoroughly convinced the body it's summer, we can start bringing in the chemical accelerators to really drive that muscle growth. Enter Myoki. This is a fascinating synthetic corn-derived peptide that acts as a direct myostatin inhibitor. Remember, myostatin limits how large your muscles can actually grow. By binding directly to it, Myoki essentially cuts the brake lines on your natural muscle development. It blows the doors wide open for massive physical performance gains.
And the clinical data here is absolutely wild. In trials targeting muscle atrophy, just 12 weeks of myohacky supplementation didn't just build muscle size, it fundamentally restored functional strength, walking speed, and grip strength. It elevated vital growth markers like IGF-1, while simultaneously dropping markers of muscle damage like myoglobin and creatine kinase. We're talking about a complete structural rescue.
Now, imagine pairing that myostatin inhibition with a research peptide protocol like CJC1295 combined with ipamorelin. Instead of a constant, unnatural flood of hormones, this stack works beautifully to restore youthful, gentle pulses of your own natural growth hormone. It perfectly mimics the body's own rhythm, especially while you sleep, leading to profound tissue repair, perfectly balanced IGF-1 levels, and even visibly firmer, more radiant skin.
Part 4. Revving up lazy mitochondria, the energy engine.
With the structural framing and hormonal signaling set, we have to look at the actual power plants of your cells, your mitochondria. If your mitochondria are acting like a bunch of slothful interns, leaving you fatigued and sluggish, MOTC is the ultimate whipcracker. It's a 16 amino acid peptide encoded right in the mitochondrial genome. It actually functions as an exercise mimetic, basically tricking your cells into marathon machine mode by activating the AMPK pathway. That dramatically boosts fat oxidation and endurance, even if you haven't stepped foot in a gym.
But look, you wouldn't redline a high-performance engine without changing the oil first, right? That's exactly why the research points to a sequential, synergistic protocol. You start in phase 1 with SS31, a peptide that bonds to the inner mitochondrial membrane to clear out the oxidative rust and restore baseline energy. Then, in phase 2, you layer in the MOTC to amplify that newly repaired metabolic capacity.
When you combine SS31's repair foundation with the MOTSC metabolic amplifier, the synergy is unbelievable. You're looking at a projected 70% endurance uplift by week 8, alongside massive drops in oxidative stress. 70%. You are completely overhauling your cellular energy output from the inside out. Finally, Part 5, the ultimate repair crew, structural healing.
To support this massive biological upgrade and all that new energy output, we absolutely need an elite cellular emergency room crew to handle the physical wear and tear. This brings us to the ultimate powerhouses, BPC-157 and TB-500. These are two peptides that work beautifully in tandem to orchestrate incredible, accelerated recovery from musculoskeletal injuries, gut issues, and widespread systemic inflammation. Think of BPC-157 as your localized specialist. Derived naturally from gastric juices, it acts like industrial-strength WD-40 for your joints, tendons, and gut lining. It promotes angiogenesis, which means it drives the creation of brand-new blood vessels right to the injured tissue. This drastically slashes recovery times and puts out the localized fires of inflammation in record time. Meanwhile, TB500 is your systemic project manager. It travels throughout the entire body to rally cell migration right to where it's needed most. It suppresses inflammatory markers and lays down new collagen matrices wherever your newly souped-up engine is experiencing friction. Teamed up with BBC-157, they form a totally unmatched tissue recovery environment. To borrow an analogy straight from the researchers outlining these peptide protocols, when you combine that high-dose vitamin D foundation with advanced peptide stacks like Myoki, MOTSC, and BPC-157, we aren't just patching over the inevitable decline of aging. We are fundamentally rebuilding the entire machine from the ground up.
The science we've covered today makes one thing crystal clear. Your metabolism and your biology are highly adaptable. They're literally just waiting for the right environmental and chemical instructions. So the only question left is, are you going to let your body hibernate for another year, or are you ready to flip the switch today?